show excites Jeff more than it excites anyone else.
Apparently.
We're just gonna wait till it happens. Yep.
Wait for it. Wait.
Just all you got to do is say you're trying to get something up on your screen, and everyone around here loses their cookies.
That's not what you said.
Are you
Jeff.
losing our cookies? I
That
love
is
Where
not,
did my cookies
that is
go?
not what you said, Jeff.
Shut up,
love
everyone.
cookies.
Here's the thing.
Welcome to Everyone Racers,
A show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture.
It doesn't matter what kind of limit champ or lucky track dog league you run.
SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate.
as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself.
Join us each week for tech discussions, tips,
Tricks, as well as news and notes from the world of amateur endurance racing.
And whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough, and Chrissy,
And Chrissy.
and I give you just the tip.
We're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less.
everyone reports the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm mental.
And we are Everyone Racers. Welcome to an original small block Mopar episode of our podcast. It's episode 273. And if you're not driving your 66 Barracuda, then grab one E1R bingo card.
But I am.
Oh, congratulations.
So we're not going to continue talking about the success of Stellantis.
That was the pre-conversation.
Poised
Yes.
for
Poised.
success.
Is that
Every
what he
one of the
said?
brands, every one of the brands poised for success. I believe that's the quote.
And everyone believes it. Yes, totally.
All the shareholders.
Yes, without a
All
doubt.
two of them.
All right. Well, it's time for what you're working on. Jeff,
Yay.
what are you working on today?
Oh yeah,
Or
well
this
this
week?
this
Today,
this
nothing.
well this week has been finishing up the Christmas decorations hung outside and things, but all weekend was all Eagle Scout stuff all weekend long. On Saturday we went to another young man, actually one that was one of my favorite scouts because he has a C4 Corvette that he has been fixing since his 16th birthday, so he could drive it on his 17th birthday. It is dark green and it is fantastically tragic.
Is that an example of building character?
That is building character right there.
It will be. It 100% will be building character.
The kid is brilliant. He's trying to decide between like Stanford and like Princeton for his like engineering career.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I
He
don't
should
know
tell
what's going on.
neither of them that he intentionally bought a C4 Corvette.
Aw.
Importantly, his father has taught him all the right things. Like, this car is terrible, and you can be any kind of engineer you want as long as it's not civil or you're disowned. So,
Oh.
yeah, his father is as mechanical. But anyway, and then on Sunday, we went and we did Eagle Scout Project, where we went to help file and sort all of the band music in the high school band room. So it's kind of a weird weekend, but yeah, that's what I did. No car work, no housework.
That seems like an absolutely terrible project.
It was a really big project. So
I'm sure that's what makes it so terrible. Oh gosh.
as a Penn State fan, I was dealing in the basically we were inputting it into a database, and I had the section of lettering that had all of the Notre Dame music, and I was like, I could just erase this. Like, all I have to do is not put it in, and they'll never find it for the rest of their
Oops.
lives.
I don't know where when you got to the ends, you're like, what's, there's, oh,
No one would have known. I did not, though. I let it in. So anyway,
oh.
that's what's going on here. Not a whole lot of car work, but Chrissy, what are you doing?
I was.
As if we didn't all see it on the internet.
Oh, well, I don't know who looks at the internet these days. I was stacking. I did a lot of stacking. Finished stacking the wood in the backyard. I did take a time-lapse video just because I thought it would be fun. That was only one very small portion of the amount of stacking that I did. The pile is gone. What?
Was that right on your iPhone?
Mhm.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Did anyone else either play in their head Benny Hill theme
Oh,
music?
Benny Hill, of
Or-
course.
Oh, I
the
was trying to
version-
figure out what kind of music to put on it.
Or the version of Herbie
Darn.
Hancock with Peter Griffin going.
I could have done all these things. And I did nothing. None of them. Sorry.
Guest DJ 914. What is the name of the Benny Hill song?
That is a great question. I do not know the answer. So stump
Yakety
me.
Sax.
Yakety sax. Oh, okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Chrissy.
That's okay. I stacked a lot of wood. The pile is gone now, and now I'm just waiting for somebody to cut some more. So maybe
Soon.
someday
Soon.
somebody will cut some. And then we're doing all the Christmas things. So we did Saturday. It rained a lot here, and it was pretty gross. So we did a lot of Christmas shopping, and made a lot of things, and started prepping for Christmas. So all good things here. No car work. But Chris will talk about some more. Mental, what are you up to?
So this weekend was the 25 Hours of Thunderhill. Interacted with a lot of listeners. That was fantastic. They were watching the updates. Challenging trip up there. Had the RV develop some issues, aided by absurd wind. Chris, if you remember how bad you had to crab the RV when you drove to
Yeah,
Birmingham,
like a quarter turn on the steering wheel just to go straight down the road.
it was this from just outside of Barstow all the way to Mojave. And suddenly my ears popped because one of my windows just blew away, and now there's plumbing missing and my mirror is jacked up. So that's
that's an insurance claim like the other ones you haven't put through, just so you know.
Oh
Get
no,
that paid for.
that's what we're doing. So I've been working with my insurance agent, and he's there. All right, yep, here. I took all the pictures and sent it to him. He goes, yeah, run it down to the repair shop and start getting them to work on it. So it's just annoying. And we've got some listener feedback against my expedient field repair of my
I thought
window.
it was nice.
Yeah.
So
I'm like
Classy.
kind of serious. It was classy. That's correct.
It was CAD, right? Cardboard aided design.
it was me pulling into a Home Depot into Tehachapi, and Sharpie cut out little handsaw, Sharpie cut handsaw, get it to fit, and then crap tons of Gorilla tape and flex tape because I needed it weatherproof and waterproof for the race, which we got in Friday. The weather was really nice. We got the car prepped. Everyone got a chance in there. Our friend Sam got the suspension tuned so all the other drivers could take a turn. We got some good baseline laps, and then it opened up and began to rain, and it kept doing that until we left Sunday morning. It was on and off of the rain. Very challenging conditions. The car, it was a great weekend with a very bad car. It was misbehaving all weekend, and we're trying to get it fixed, and we're trying to work around it. We couldn't wind it out to the red line. We had to short shift it, and it would still throw a code. So once a lap, we were having to shut the key off, count to 5 Mississippi, turn the key back on.
While driving.
Of course.
Yeah.
Just
I don't really like
remind
doing that.
remind the listeners what the event was and what the car was.
This was the 25 Hours of Thunderhill, NASA's NorCal event. The car more or less is set up as a spec E46, but that we were running an E2. We were overweight, underpowered. We were okay with all that because usually this week it was those sections. Our pit stops are clean. The drives are clean. We did have one minor incident as one of the drivers went to flash the lights to let us know that they were coming into the pits on the next lap. They looked down, caught a wet spot, lost control as they began to slide right at the pointed concrete block that divides the racetrack from the hot pits.
Yeah.
Honest to God, the person said, well, this is a trip to the hospital, but they caught enough traction to catch the rear quarter, knock the car into the pit lane, and then they just pitted a lap early. And
That's like something happens in iRacing when you accidentally go into the pit lane sideways and get a penalty.
Totally. And he got it hauled down to under 25. So he didn't get a penalty for speeding. They were like, what we thought you were coming next lap. He's like, yeah, don't look at the quarter panel. And he, good guy. We had a good time, but ultimately the car succumbed to clutch issues and transmission issues. And
it seemed like a really rough, you did a great job of showing all the things that were happening, but I was like, I think it was on stories at least, or where I was looking at it. So it was like, oh, and again, Oh, and again. Oh, and again. It was just kind of one after another. I'm sure it wasn't
really
like that.
was. No, actually, yeah, that was pretty much. Oh, look, the car's doing it again. And we'd go wake up the guy that was working on it. Hey, it's doing it again. And it was a sinister problem because they were chasing it around. But as always, anytime with Mark Francis Racing, it's always a great time. It's always a good bunch of people. Shout out to the Andersons, the Palmar Racing. You can follow them at Palmar Racing. They were contesting for the class win and were in the top 3 against the one Daytona prototype all weekend. And they did a great job. At one point, their secondary car was having some issues. So they literally bump drafted it into the pit so they could get it back out, and they fed us. They took great care of us. So yeah, good time. But that's I believe officially that's the end of everyone's race season until next year, right?
We're Atlanta is next weekend, but
well, yeah. Or is anyone going? I'm sorry, for us, a race for the E1R.
for the 5 of us, yes, that's it.
Yeah.
So
is anyone using our East Coast champion entry?
Yes, Darren.
Very good.
Fitting because Darren drove the Betty to 2 wins as the fastest driver in that car. So he earned that free entry to Road Atlanta. And they're making the most of it. They have like 6 drivers and 8 crew and all kinds of people on that free entry. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Well, and while we're talking about that, Chris, you can tell us what you even posted some videos.
I fluid filmed.
He posted some videos. You're hilarious.
Sorry. Chrissy posted videos of you doing things.
That's exactly what happened.
Yes.
That's what happened.
Yeah. I fluid filmed, which for those of you that don't live in the salt area of the country, it is a lanolin-based oily, waxy product that I have comes in gallon jugs and spray cans. I buy it by the gallon jug. Heat it up so it flows a little better, and then fill smaller bottles that then go through an air gun attached to the compressor and spray it all over the undersides of anything that might rust. And this is why Chrissy's Mazda at 250,000 miles still had dog legs in the quarter panels, and why my old Suburban still had perfect rocker panels when none of the rest of them do. So none. No, they're all gone. None. So decided that in our new Mercedes, it's a 17, but it's never seen a winter because it was a California car, and then it didn't get driven because COVID. So we decided all right, it's going to get driven in the winter now. Let's do that. And the Cadillac came from Virginia with just minor little bits of surface rust here and there on some stuff underneath, but very clean. So we're trying to keep it that way. Yeah.
The only problem with it is it now our cars smell bad.
Yeah, you get about 2 weeks where they don't smell great, and it's not
terrible.
It's not terrible, but it's
just not good.
It's not a pleasant odor. It's not foul though.
When you walk away, you're just
unusual.
Like, gosh, that car smells.
Yeah. Well, now that they both have driven in the rain, it'll help.
It's kind of sheepish.
Yeah,
it's made out of cheap.
Yeah.
Sheepish.
Yep.
Okay.
And the other side from that, I am waiting for exhaust parts to arrive, which they all should be here tomorrow to finally do the new exhaust on the Mazda. And therefore it will then be able to be parked for the winter in nearly race ready condition, but need to get the header to replace the stock catalytic converter manifold thing that was causing us problems. And I will redoing the muffler so it no longer hits on the subframe as often, which will make the rest of my team and me very happy.
Yeah, you're getting an MSDS header, that's correct?
Yes. Yeah. And they've been very nice to work with, I have to say, even though, fortunately I wasn't in a hurry, because the first one, there's some kind of shipping snafu. I ended up with some guy's intake and he ended up with my header, but the header was damaged in transport. So they had to build another one, but they built another one fairly quickly. They kept good communication with me. That's on the way. He's reimbursing me for my paying to ship the guy's intake to wherever, to Georgia, wherever it was. So they've been very nice about this whole thing. And just fortunate that I had the time that I wasn't really bothered by it. But so far for customer service, would recommend.
Yeah,
nice.
We got an MSDS for the 914.6 that we did on one lap for foreshadowing purposes, and it's been rock solid header. No issues, been fantastic, fit perfect and everything. So love that company.
Yeah, and Tom's used that car pretty heavily too. So
you guys got 1 million miles on it right now, only on Watkins Glen, but definitely there.
Yeah.
Hashtag they should sponsor us.
It's not so bad.
Well, you may be wondering who that voice is, and it is our fourth teammate today, a guest, whatever. I don't know what you
Fourth?
are. You're
Co-host,
guest. I
You
don't
can't
know.
even count. There's five. There's five.
Oh, I'm
of us.
sorry, 5. What the hell am I thinking? I can't count. You're right. It is Eric Kritzler, aka DJ 914, wearing his 914 shirt. If you're watching on the YouTubes, and being slightly stalked by a woman over your shoulder, other
I
shoulder.
know, right? It's kind of
It's
creepy.
a little creepy. Whatever. Hey, Eric, what are you working on?
Well, good times, always good times. I'm actually in the replacement mode to try to find something for my 2003 Audi that I've had since then. It's been fantastic. I know you guys aren't Audi fans, but for me, it's been a great ride. It's going to kind of go to my daughter as her car for driving purposes as she goes into that. And there's not a lot of wagon options out there, so I'm kind of just working my way through it. Your Mercedes-Benz is high on the list, the one you guys have, the E450 in this case, and that's up there, and I'm starting to look at those. But another thing about the Audi is about 6 years ago, I put an AWE exhaust on it, and I've been plagued by the enormous noise from it ever since, and still hate it. Took a little dB meter in there, and it peaks out at 115 decibels. So,
Inside the car?
Inside the car. So so for years I had been looking for like an ANSA exhaust or something to just replace it, and they'd always been unavailable. Recently, they're available again. So I bought all the parts, and I'm waiting for 2 more clamps, and then it'll be put on the car. So thank God, maybe all the damage I've done to my ears won't. I'm sure I've done more damage elsewhere.
What?
But hey,
I was going to say.
Yeah,
We're
musicians and loud exhausts, you're
Yeah.
not going to be able to hear it.
Yeah, guilty as
It's-
charged.
It's not that we don't like Audis. We don't like working on Audis.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Volkswagen product.
Yeah,
Yours has
I've-
been
Y-
really
yes.
exceptional.
Right.
which
all,
is
all of
wonderful.
my VWs have been. It's
Yeah.
been I've been
That-
not. I guess I've been the exception or something. I don't know.
That's the way it works, though. You either get a good one or you don't, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, and
And,
no small part due to you're pretty religious about all of your maintenance across the board.
Oh, sure. Got to do it. You got to do that, or else you never know. It's worth
well,
it. It's
it's,
an investment.
it's always the window switches, and window goes down and never comes back in a VW Audi
Ignition
product, so-
coils, Jeff.
Yeah,
Ignition
exactly.
coils.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all
Anyway, other
electronics.
than that, that flying turbo Miata that I bought, I finally figured out how to get that registered, and I'll hopefully get that. It's it's cold around here, but it's got like R comp tires on it right now, so I got to figure something else before I bring it on down and make that happen. So yay!
Yeah, that
That's
is
excellent.
formerly owned by the Bill Fisher of the.
It was
what-
Vicky's car, let's be honest.
Yeah, true. You're right. I mean, he owns them all and just kind of gives them out like candy, doesn't he? I mean,
It was definitely in his name, but it was Vicky's car, and it's a
yeah.
great car.
Oh, it was definitely
It
Vicky's.
is.
It's
The car
it's a
is a
silly ass car. If you want to just spin tires, no problem. You want to go fast, no problem. And it's everything. It's like everything. It's raw though,
everything.
and it's raw.
Yeah.
I
It's
love it.
everything.
It's giggle inducing though, that
It
car,
is.
especially when you drive it hard. It's like, it just makes you giggle.
It is so true.
I
Yes.
haven't driven it, so I can't wait for it to show up at the next track day and maybe get a
I'd be-
laugh out of you.
I'd be happy to let you drive it whenever that works out.
All right. We're excited. And news and notes time. We're all so excited.
Are we?
Are
Oh,
we?
I am.
We are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hello. This morning I woke up and I was like, what is that wagon Subaru? I gotta watch that video on YouTube. And bam, there it was. Gymkhana 2022. Monica Goodman at Motor Trend has some highlights. Of course, I watched it myself, but we have the video linked in our show notes. If you have not seen it, you must go check it out. At the wheel again is famous Daredevil and Lemons racer Travis Pastrana. The vehicle is the family Huckster Love that name. It's an 865 horsepower tube frame carbon fiber bodied 1983 Subaru GL wagon, because nothing says tire shredding madness like a Subaru GL wagon. The location is all through Florida. They call it the Florida Man Special. Fort Lauderdale, the Keys, bit of the Everglades. You can see cameos of Ryan Anderson behind the wheel of the latest Gravedigger monster truck. YouTube star Cletus McFarlane, there they are if you're watching on YouTube, lining up his multi-thousand horsepower El Camino, yes, known as the Mullet Mobile, MD 500 helicopter, which is one of those little bubbly ones, Pit Viper sunglasses, Jim York riding scooter ski.
Scoot ski.
No.
Scoot ski.
Yeah, scoot ski. You know,
There's
like,
an entire Facebook
ski.
group dedicated to them.
Oh, got it. I never heard them called
Sure,
scoot
there is.
Look, we did that before it was cool. That's all I'm saying.
Right?
And
Why
it can't
don't
be
you have a
Florida.
show like that? Why doesn't everybody say, "Oh my god"? It's just
I absolutely love this one. There's a twin turbo fan boat, lifted trucks, a fighter plane. Mental, what kind of plane is it? I don't even know.
It is a French trainer known as the L156, similar to what we use for our contracted aggressors here
There you
at
go.
Nellis, but they lost the contract. So yeah.
Oh, all right. So that's why you're driving the UFOs, right? Not to mention the actual stunts. There's a point where the car grinds over like the freeway barrier, like aluminum. What do we call those things? Like guardrails. That's pretty cool.
Like a skateboard.
Like a
He
skateboard.
literally
Absolutely.
is. Mhm.
Jumping, missing bridge segments, over the helicopter. Look, if you've watched them before and you're like, that's cool, you're going to love this one. If you watch the other ones and you're like, why is this on? Don't bother, because this one is just, I thought it was a great one. The newest installment is absolutely fantastic. 2 thumbs up. It does begin with Travis
And
end with Travis injuring himself in a, I mean, it's the first 30 seconds, so I might as well say it. A base jumping accident.
it was in the news. He broke his pelvis and his back.
Oh, that sounds awful.
And it was for this video. So they begin with,
This is how you were going to start. And
Yes.
that didn't
Yep.
go so well.
we're not going to hide it. You can find it all over the internet if you haven't seen it. Link in the show notes. We'll also link the story. So if you want to see where we got the story from. But yeah, there it is.
The first one
Mhm.
was cool. Every other one is like, oh, this again. Next.
Chris doesn't like fun.
I would love to do it. You kidding me? We would all have a great time doing that. If someone would let us. Sure.
I think
But
Travis's videos were better than Ken Block's.
Oh, you didn't see the E-tron video where he was in Las Vegas, did you? It was amazing.
I don't know, but no, I said the Gymkhanas that that Ken Block did, I thought got repetitive.
Fair.
Mhm.
Anyway, it's
Yep.
Florida. It's fun. Click the link. Who else has got a story?
Florida isn't fun usually either, except Donnie.
Facts.
Anyway, we previously talked about the new Mercedes AMG C63 that's really an electrically boosted 4-cylinder, but don't write off the crew from Stuttgart just yet. Thomas Hyundai at the Autopian has a review of the king of super sedans, the Mercedes AMG S63E. As the article teases, the V8 lives is because it still rocks a hand-assembled 4-liter V8 with twin turbos, 604 horsepower, 664 foot-pounds. Add an electric motor that also has a 2-speed gearbox. Now you get 791 horsepower, 1,055 foot-pounds of torque.
Electric motor with a 2-speed. You had me at that.
What?
So this is basically a limousine that does 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. Not the quickest or even fastest, but I mean, come on, this kind of car is designed to cross continents, as we know. And like Thomas mentions, its lineage's bid sedan is at its best, going triple-digit speeds for hours on end, with plenty in reserve to overtake slower cars and all the comforts of an S-Class on board. So massaging seats, heated armrests, nice stereo, variable anti-roll bars, 4-wheel steering, even the engine mounts stiffen when you need performance. It's not cheap, but it's probably the last ridiculous, big-ass, stupid V8 sedan we're going to see.
I don't know. We've been saying that for how many years now?
Yeah, well, we shall find out.
Yeah. welcome my electric overlords. Doesn't work everywhere. We're always going to have gas, at least for our lifetime.
Yep. Last week, we also replayed the news of F1 champion Lewis Hamilton hooning a R34 Skyline in Japan. While that was a minor dust up, Formula 2 driver Amaury Cordial didn't get away with it so easy. The Belgian-born racer was convicted by a tribunal after uploading a video that showed him driving 111 miles an hour in a 31 zone. 31's a random.
This is
all
kilometers.
Yeah, because it's Belgium. I was converting it from kilometers.
It's fine. I was like, oh, don't go 30. You can go 30 or don't go
weird speed
32,
limit.
right?
Yes.
30, 31. Oh, correct. Okay. Anyway, this happened 2 years ago and the video was deleted from his TikTok account, but the court still fined Cordell $3,700 and took away his driver's license. This isn't his first bit of trouble, as he was previously accused of driving an Audi at 185 miles an hour on a public highway. Really, 185 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Real? Okay.
I bet you it wasn't 115 a dB inside that cabin. Though.
Oh, right? On a public highway, and sharing that video, he was able to deny being the driver on that footage and avoid prosecution. The 20-year-old driver is set to race alongside Jack Doohan with the Virtuosi team in F2 next year. To earn an F1 super license, drivers must hold a valid driver's license in their home country, but F2, the minimum age to compete in F2 is 17. And several countries don't allow driving until 18. Regardless, he's in trouble. Formula 2 CEO Bruno Michael stated, "We can't ignore that fact, that's for sure."
How would you like the only thing keeping you from getting an F1 super license is the fact
Being
that
dumb.
Your license was revoked.
Being dumb.
Oh, then you move to somewhere that doesn't care as much. And just get a
Yes.
license
I
there.
feel like
Yeah.
this is when you relocate to Monaco.
Monaco
Yeah,
is exactly
You
what I was
become-
going to say.
I'm monogas. Yes. Revoke my license. Oh, Eric K on the video showing his fat
Solving
stacks of
problems.
cash. Yeah.
Well,
Solving
somewhere where the money talks more. That's all.
Start throwing money. That's great.
Can I
Suddenly
call
another
an
Thai driver. Who knew? Right?
Yeah, exactly. Can I call an audible and mention a breaking news story? Thank you. It just showed up in our email this afternoon that the Sonoma race for March 23, the Lemons, 24 Hours of Lemons
They
Sonoma
announced
race.
that this weekend.
Oh, that was this. Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Do you know what replaced it?
Well, so what happened is some private guy rented Sonoma for the first 12 weekends. So they will not be going to Sonoma. So instead Lemons will be going to Thunderhill and running it backwards.
Yes. 3 different tracks,
is
one
crazy.
race. Saturday, they're doing the 5 mile in the reverse direction. Sunday from 8 a.m. to noon, the classic 3 mile reverse. And then they will stop the race and everyone will go the other direction from noon to 4, classic Thunderhill 3 mile, regular direction.
Right.
Sign me up.
And then after that, aren't they going to do all 3 at once?
No. Oh, is it the 5 mile?
Whose reverse gear is going to last that long?
I
That's the
don't
hard
know.
part.
My neck
You-
is going to get tired from looking over my shoulder so much. Right?
That's
You
why I
need to-
use the big
It's
pattern.
like iRacing, right?
No, you need like Chris Egan's 3 displays of reverse, right?
Right.
Definitely.
Yep. Start practicing on your forklifts now to get that rear steer thing going, right?
I think they
That's why
should do this more often.
you loosen this shoulder, you grab the passenger seat of the roll bar, and then it's just
The problem is that with a good Hans, you can't turn your head that far.
You're absolutely right.
That's the tough part.
You can't even turn it like
Just stare right in the mirror and don't even bother turning your head.
I don't like that at all.
No. I think they should do for tracks that are safe, and I know not every track is safe in reverse direction. They should do that more often.
That's going to be
Saturday
tough
one
for
way.
anybody new. It's 3 new tracks. Here you go.
Yeah.
Have a nice
Yeah,
day.
and it
I'm
looks
okay
so.
with like Saturday one direction, Sunday the other direction, or
Really?
changing a configuration or
No,
something like
it's-
that.
what is interesting is and I'm sure it's out there, but I on the way home I stopped by Corey Dickman, and of course the thread that all the West Coasters are on Facebook message thread. Everyone seems to be really geeked about this. Everyone's looking forward to it. And I'm with Jeff. I think just absolutely switching it up. It's going to throw a monkey wrench into everybody's strategy. Yeah, it's gonna be a blast.
Come on,
Blast.
we're not that serious out here. Go ahead and
No. If it weren't likely to rain a fair amount of that whole time of a February weekend in Northern California, I would consider it as a travel race just for the fun of trying that many configurations. Yeah.
Totally.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
Cool.
my news. Who else got something?
And that's it for news. Now, to sponsor time. Yeah, later on.
I was like, you wrote this.
We're all pausing, waiting
Well, I
for
was
Christopher
waiting
waiting for
for
someone
you.
to yell because I
We
don't.
don't yell.
We don't yell sponsor section. We're
Fine.
trying to hide that it's a paid ad, not paid, but a partnership ad. They're not giving us any money.
They
We're
should
not
totally,
surprising anyone.
they should totally pay you.
Right.
We
So-
like racing junk. We just
We
like
do.
it.
It's all right. We do
And-
love racing junk.
So Eric's here. Flash forward. We're talking about one lap later on. So I said, I'm going to go on Racing Junk and look for a car that I think would be fun on one lap. Not necessarily something that's going to win, but a reasonably priced car, not $300,000 Lamborghini that is not a Corvette or an M5, because I feel like those are the easy buttons.
Facts.
And so that I found this. It's a 2016 Jaguar F-Type R.
Yeah.
Oh
It's-
yeah.
It is.
Okay.
It is 500 horsepower. It is all-wheel drive for bad weather. It is a hatchback to put stuff in, put a roof rack with a box on it, and away you go. You have fun. You look amazing. You sound amazing.
It's beautiful
And
too.
it's a Jag. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very pretty car.
In eons ago, when I right before I retired, I got to go down to Circuit of the Americas, and it wasn't the all-wheel drive version, but I got to drive the F-Type R. They just introduced the coupe, and it is such an amazing car. You hold the performance button where you reprogram the shocks. If you hold it down and it readjusts the dampers and it adjusts the shift points and it adjusts the opens valves up in the exhaust, and all of the digital gauges get a red tint to them to let you know.
Oh,
It's
The red
it's
mist.
cyber business.
beast
Yeah,
mode.
Beast
Mhm.
mode.
The Escalade does that in sport mode too. The gauges have a red needle.
Yes.
So
Okay.
you know.
But I guarantee the Escalade does not sound like this
No,
in
no, it
beast
does
mode,
not.
because this
I'm
is
just kidding.
Oh, so the neighbor 2 houses away from me when I lived in Hewitt, remember I lived on the hill that went like straight up, had one of these when they first came out. And
Really?
yes. And she would come in on the loud pipes and going up that hill, it was always loaded, even though she wasn't going that fast. She was a motorcycle racer, did a lot of track motorcycle stuff. Man, that thing sang like,
Oh,
sign me up.
Yeah. The only thing I
sexy
can say about
cars.
that is holy depreciation, Batman.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
sure. But let
I
somebody
love
else take
other
that.
people getting depreciation. It's fantastic.
Did we say how much it was? We're all looking at it, but I'm not sure.
46,000.
I mean, I know how much it is. I just wasn't sure that we said it.
That's
So
it.
Man,
Like
what
it's
was
a-
sticker on that?
Oh, like
About 110.
10 maybe.
Depending on
Yeah.
how much it's gotten it. Yeah.
Ooh.
Love it.
yep,
That's
somebody else
great.
pay that. It's cool.
Wow. Upcoming races.
Okay, Lemon's season wrap up is at Road Atlanta for the Kim Hartem Scrotium 500. There are 100 cars.
100.
Thank you. 18 BMWs, not even
Which I'm-
boring.
Well, no,
It's
it's
close
almost
to 20%.
yeah. That's boring. That's boring range. Which it's Atlanta. I'm not surprised, but I'm gonna go with no. We're gonna call them out. Boring.
Oh, okay, fine.
Boring.
18 Miatas, 4 Hondas, 1 Porsche. Eric Rude gave us some comments about what's going on there. 2 Dakotas, a first, 2 Chargers, a Caravan, and a Grand Cherokee. Also, 2 classic Fords, a Fairlane and an NSF grade Mach 1, and some really effluent GM products. A Corvair Z34 Fiero, not enough. The Borg Ward is back. Johan is bound to do something insulting in the Beetle. The Grits G 200 SX, Lemon's first Lincoln LS, and etc. Not etc. but the Cheap Thrills Cadillac, etc. The rest.
The
Eldorado
Touring
Touring
Coupe.
Coupe, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. The rest of you racers have a lot to live up to with this field.
So, do we know what Darren is bringing? Is he bringing his little
got the-
compressor?
The 2 Mercedes.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And the C280 or whatever it is they have.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, good luck, big, tall, sexy beast of Darren. What do we call him now? The haggler?
The haggler.
Hassler.
Get out there and haggle
Hassler.
him.
No, Hassler.
The Hassler. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Race report, which we don't always do, but now we did.
All right. So our good friend Corey Dickman was judging at Sonoma, and also because they're just about an hour down the road, it rained there too. And I think Corey used the phrase spin fest. There was a lot of things. Overall, Black Hole Racing won in a boring BMW, being chased by Dick Ass, also in a boring BMW. Class B was Road Race Jones and the Sentra SER. That's a good crew. Class C was the Pizza Planet racing truck. It's a Mazda B2000. IOE was the Valiant Effort Plymouth. The organizer's choice was My Fair Lady Mopar. Now, this is a Z31 with a Mopar V8. He has been running that car for years, and usually it's literally just him and his wife is the pit crew. Wonderful group of people. They always like to camp near Ranwood Park Racing. So just great guys. He's offered me so many times to drive that car, and I'm going to start taking it up to him. Heroic fix was We Supra Bad in an 89 Supra. The judge's choice was No Par in that 89 Dodge / Mitsubishi Colt. Screwed was Prince and the Revolutions. Now, that is a spin-off of the Jaime Garcia effort. When they showed up there, they had this Corolla and then they painted it up like Prince. They've done it. They've really leaned into it. They've done a, no, I'm sorry. No, this is a Celica. I'm thinking of a different one, but Prince of the Revolution, they've been running that car for a while and they just got absolutely tagged in the rain by a Mustang. They had a great attitude about it. Racing's racing, and they got a set of tires because they were also the Yokohama, and they put this on their tire because it was Prince of the Revolution, the Dove Mangler.
Nice.
And of course, Halloween Meets Gasoline was the pit crew revenge in Buttercup, the giant fur-covered Lincoln Continental with the horse on the top. They went overboard. They had the horsey blow-up outfits all weekend. The giant
hats.
Giant hats. We saw all kinds of pictures.
It's Overzet, Neil Losi, that whole crew. They leaned into it. That's how you do Halloween Meets Gasoline. And Corey said it was kind of a shame because in the beginning there were some really, really great themes out there, but what put it over the top is they just stayed like that all weekend long.
Yeah. I posted so many pictures of Turd Ferguson. Every time they posted a picture, I was like, Turd Ferguson, Turd Ferguson, Turd Ferguson.
The nice thing about one of those big novelty cowboy hats, if it's raining, it keeps you dry. It's like an umbrella.
Oh, no. Or it's a sponge because it's made out of the finger and it's actually just soaking up more. Yes.
Why can't it be both?
I mean, sure.
I wonder if they get heavy. Like when
I'm sure it does. They're
like,
just going to start flopping.
Flopping.
Yep. I don't think it did. We didn't see any pictures.
Oh, well.
Somebody
else was
novelty
posting
cowboy hat.
Somebody else was posting Winona's big brown beaver pictures, and I thought that
Primus.
was good too.
Awesome.
Yeah, Primus, very good. So there it is, listener feedback. Thanks to Chris, everything was caulk related. More of that at the end of the show. We're going to be talking about caulk, but Uncle Dave chimed in with, "I've been using a wire nut to seal the tip of his caulk for years."
Sounds painful.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing to do. Ron H. said, "I shall never again forget to wrap his caulk."
That's important.
Yep.
Public safety announcement.
Exactly. Now, as far as my janky RV window repair, Cheesebolt Enterprises chimed in to say, quote, "It would have been even better had he used cheap blacklight artwork from a California head shop."
I mean,
And I have to agree 100%. Like, the either like the sunset on a foreign planet with some sort of spaceship, or an Aztec warrior with a conquistador maiden walking up to a volcano. Any of those would have been fantastic.
Well, too bad you're getting it fixed, because I've learned how to make those like spray can space things. I'm learning how to do that.
You can still do that,
Real busy, huh, Jeff?
It was one of the Eagle projects.
Okay, we posted on what you're working on. Randy K was hanging Christmas lights and said, "I'll update from the ER when I wake up in a few hours, days, whenever, whatever."
I didn't know I was going to be on this, and I took a page from Chris's playbook and spent the entire day splitting wood for a neighbor, which is true.
Dave Mills sanded, painted, and installed a potbelly stove. Staying warm.
Fellow idiot of affluency, Derek Steinkamp was swapping his winter wheels onto his Porsche.
That's always good. Tom B had all kinds of Volkswagen goodness, including his 58 VW Truck Master cylinder conversion to a dual circuit and a 58 Volkswagen front disc brake. So I guess it was all upgrading of brakes all the time over with Tom B.
Yeah, it was a Type 1, so it had dual leading, so it's kind of cool, but now it's a disc.
Which is better. So that's good.
Yeah.
Totally. Wally Plummer said, hey, some cool dude showed up and took a Cressida Trans from LOL and BHQ. Chill dude, 10 of 10.
Nice. John H asked, who's got a 213? About the only newer model I'd consider. Meanwhile, my 190 got considerably louder on the way home on Wednesday. And showed a picture of his exhaust hanging.
And Chrissy, you have a 213. That's the chassis code for that car.
That's me.
And John's a Mercedes mechanic. So
yes. Me.
Yep.
He's the one that showed me all the tricks on my old 430 coupe. Nick Heine had wiper blade replacements, Rain-X for windshields, and replacing the garage door scarred mirror cap, all still while 3D printing toilet reminders for his young boys.
Wow.
That's great.
Okay.
Al Jones is extracting several gallons of water from the carpet after a roof drain malfunction.
Oh, that sucks.
In there.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. David Eckel had a new alternator for his 86 Taurus MT5. That's right. That was swiped from the Tempo race car, and he was prepping a hot pink Italian dirt bike for a summer ride.
Oh, Sunday ride, because it's not summer, but that's okay too. He said summer. Or he said Sunday. Corey Dickman had a Hell Sweet Ellis swap El Camino.
Matt Farinchek said, next weekend, the vet gets its winter shoes. Right now, it's deer shit up the steps.
He did send us a picture of actual
that's true.
deer droppings on steps.
He does live in the woods. And finally, Tom Parrick was generating some sweet ass bass in his GMT 800, the tow pig of choice, the former tow pig of choice for the E1R crew. So
what is the chassis for your new? It's an Evolution, but obviously it's a new chassis for the Escalade.
Yeah, it's a couple evolutions up. It's a GMT K92X. It's not as nearly as interesting as the old ones. Or it was really easy. It's an 400, 800, 900. No, now it's two more than that. So they ran out of letters.
Do you know who's always two more than everything else?
Oh, it's a good one.
Okay.
Chrissy's mom.
Yep.
Hi, Chrissy's mom.
Hi, Mom.
Chrissy's mom.
Sister, dad, everybody else.
Oh,
Whole crew.
Actually, what
Chrissy
you're working on? I worked on her car, actually. I
Yeah,
didn't
you
finish
did.
that till last Thursday, finally.
Right? That's
It's a
true.
lot of work. Last Thursday, I did new wheel bearings and brakes, and I solved that misfire number 2. It was the injector, one of those junkyard ones I had pulled out and cleaned. Worked fine initially, and then after running a couple times, it just wasn't reporting for duty. So I put one of the other ones back in. Runs great, no problem.
Ta-da.
Yep.
So Eric, do you remember in the Blues Brothers when they are at the Billy Bob's honky tonk, and Jake hands to Elwood the little piece of paper and he says, "We don't know any of these songs."
Yep.
These don't matter. They're only requests. Well, today's topic is actually suggested request from our friends at Garage Heroes in Training, and it's all about the one lap of America. Not actually running but how to prep. I guess we can do a how to run the one lap in a later show, but this one's going to be all about the prep. And I assume that if you're chiming or listening into the Garage Heroes, they might be prepping a car for one lap.
Awesome.
Very exciting. So Mental and I, Car and Driver magazine for years, while everyone else on the pod has done it, including our guest Eric / DJ914, and that's where you guys met, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ah, that's fantastic.
Eric, we met sitting at a table. It's like, oh, hey, hi, hello, nice to see you. And then the next day we were sitting at pit race on the guardrail, in the hot pit, and Eric casually throws out a subtle old Greg reference.
We're like, oh my God.
Now, when he says throws out, what happened is he walked up with a shoe and started drinking out of it.
He did
and
not.
What do you got in there?
Baileys.
Bailey's? You ever drink Bailey's a shoe?
No.
Been to
Some
a party where
watercolors.
they wee on each other?
He did not that one. It was I don't remember
Mixed
which
up
one it was.
downstairs bits? Which one was it?
I don't remember which one it was, but whatever it was.
It
I threw
wasn't
him I threw him
super-
right back, and whatever it
Yeah.
was, then it's like, oh, we're friends now. Okay.
Yeah.
And it went quickly to strong bad, which went well too as well. So that was good.
It wasn't one of the worst
No.
ones.
So there you have it. If you're a little nervous about meeting any of us in the pits, just walk right up with a Mighty Boosh reference and you're in.
I don't think I would catch any other Mighty Boosh reference other than Old Greg. So you better stick to the classics.
See, yeah, you start singing the ice rap. Yeah. Anyway,
Well, since Mental and I will be doing little of the heavy lifting later, we prepared a little bit of bits, and Mental's going to talk us about the history of
All
the
right.
one lap and what's going on.
so those of you who may not know, including our European fans, hello, Erling, how are you doing? The One Lap of America is an evolution of the famous Brock Yates Cannonball events from the 70s. It's an annual event that they have run ever since 1984. Now, originally the premise was to drive across country, and the first actual, they called it the One Lap, was a lap down to Florida all the way around of the United States. But it has now evolved into a series of time trials at racetracks across the country with overnight trips in between. And they run two different, it's not the same one every year. They swap it up and even do it in kind of different parts of the Midwest. You do need a street legal car. You have to have at least two drivers. So forget about getting all hopped up on meth and doing the whole thing yourself. All right. You've got to run one set of tires the entire event. Now, for the last 2 years, pro racer Tom O'Gorman and Steve Loudon have won in a Corvette ZR1, but previous winners include Lee Keene. Other famous competitors, aside from three of these gorgeous faces on the screen, include Parnelli Jones, Price Cobb, Brian Maskey, John Buffram, Elliott Forbes Robinson, and the master of long distance driving, Hurley Haywood. This year, it's going to be held from May 6th through the 13th. And as always, the proceeds benefit the Alzheimer's Association, which is something that plagued Brock Yates until the end of his life. And of course, we have a link in our show notes.
Absolutely. So what's going on with the current one lap? Of course, it's 7 days, 3,500 miles. The 22 route, the 23 route is not yet published. So the 22 route was the Midwest, as Metal mentioned. It started and finished at the tire rack in Indiana, which is, I believe, every year, right?
All
Even if
over.
they go west. Yeah.
Everyone.
So they went to Grissom Air Force Base on the same day, Nashville Superspeedway, CMP, and Lanier. That's a single day race. Barber in Alabama, Hallett in Oklahoma, Heartland in Colorado, Putman in Indiana. Each stop was either a time trial, autocross, drag race, limited runs, right? You get like 3 runs, 6. What do you get? 3 runs.
We'll talk about that. In a minute.
Yeah. You guys talk about that later. So Met already mentioned all road going cars and trucks can enter. There are 13 classes based on the type of car: sports, GT, sedan, wagon, SUV, pickup, and then classing based on pricing, displacement, and age. Links in the show notes to go check it out. But just so you get it, sports cars over 50K and over 3.5 liters, or you might be in a sports car that's under 50K and under 3.5 liters. Sedans are split into luxury, mid-price, and economy. Pre-1991 are either classic American or imported. All trucks are in the same class unless you're an alternate fuel, because hybrid, electric, and diesel are in their own class. Then there's this like retro class. You go read it, you'll figure it out. They also mentioned that there's the 3 awards for the top 3 finishing stock vehicles, no matter what class they're in, because basically if you're going to compete, you need a highly modified vehicle. There's not a whole lot of people running anything stockish. To quote the rules, all vehicle modifications are allowed provided they meet the spirit of the event, safety requirements of safety, good taste, and common sense. So I'm not sure we actually qualify Street legal 200 treadwear tires with tire rack branding are required. No racing slicks. And you can carry a spare mental, but you got to carry everything you're running.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No
So,
support
yeah.
vehicles allowed.
Tell us all about it, everybody.
Well, we're going to talk mostly about the prep today, not the running it, because running it is an entirely different show. And actually, prep was what Bill requested because, you know, they're prepping now. So, yeah, we're not even really going to talk about car choice too much because that's really such an individual thing and that could go so many different ways. So, but this is all kind of general, universal things that can be done to help.
And I will say, like, not to jump in there, but when you guys are talking about prep, and if people are listening to this and they're interested, it comes down to how comfortable or masochistic you want to be. Because as mentioned, Eric did it in a 914.6 with no air conditioning, noise insulation,
no heat,
space,
Kirkies, right?
ability to
Turkeys.
recline,
Turkeys.
cushioning.
Kirkies.
And Chris and Chrissy did it in, you know,
Luxury.
A super sedan. So
Yeah, it was cold. We were sitting with both the heat and the vent on the seats on when it was cold and raining. And Eric was sitting holding a cup up to the target top to catch the drips of water.
True. But I do think that once you figure out when we talk about the prep and what you need to bring or what you should bring with you, I think that helps you that may influence what kind of car you get. If you don't already have the car. So I think that this will help you when you realize what you actually need to bring.
Yep.
And some of the classes are like filled with all the top dog big money teams.
Yep.
And some of the classes are a little bit more sketchy, right? I mean,
yeah.
If you're in
like a
vintage
914,
Ford, it's going to be very different than in the big bore sports over 50,000 where it's McLarens and ZR1s and etc.
GTRs. Yep.
Yeah. So Eric, you had a nice thoughts on here and to start off on the prep. I think. Why don't you start us off with this?
Thanks. I think to me, prep comes down to what do you want to do? What do you want to get out of it? Right. As I see, there are like 3-ish types of participants. It's the I need to win first place. That's a very different prep than if you want to just be, say, B, which would be basically make it a rally, so you hang out with friends, you promote your business, you've done it 35 years in a row or whatever, that kind of thing. It's just the thing you do. And then, of course, then somewhere in the middle, there's that semi-serious person. They want to be competitive. They may want to win something, or at least, they're serious about it, but they're never going to be spending $200,000 on a car. They're never going to fly to every track ahead of time so they can get seat time with the car that they're actually going to race at these things. So to me, that's it. And I'm assuming Bill's probably going to be somewhere in that third category, right? He isn't going to probably bring a car that can win it all. And he's probably going to be just looking to be competitive, or at least, feel good about his approach to this. So I'll focus a little on that one as we go down that path.
Yeah. How many turbos do you need on your Lamborghini for like the overall win, right?
Well, one more is better. So
until the point that it breaks. And that's the hard part is this, it has to survive. And that's step one. You must finish. And we saw plenty of very heavily tuned cars break.
Melt pistons, hit the wall, etc. Right?
All the above. Yep. All right. So let's talk about what do you need to bring? Like, what's kind of a shopping list for things to bring?
Well, can I actually go back one step?
Yeah, please.
Let's talk about tires. First of all, Tire Rack gives you a solid discount on their tires, or at least they used to, I believe, the tires and you can use you can get multiple sets, 2 sets for each car, allowing you to do some prep time and all that stuff. So picking the tire matters. For example, if you're buying maybe Michelin, 4H's, you're getting a nice middle of the road tire. If you're an RE71 style, you're going to be hampered when it comes to a wet track. And I think it's almost a guarantee you're going to find a wet track. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but one part of the judging is wet skid pad, and wet skid pad does add to
they make it wet. So
they make it wet.
Well, but I mean, it's May in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Right.
Gonna rain.
From what I understand, the hot dry tire these days is the Yokohama AO52,
Mm-hmm.
and the hot wet tire is either the Michelin Pilot P4S, PS, right, or the Continental Extreme Contact Sport 2. Now they have a new version of that. It's one of those two because they are exceptional in the wet.
And they got to last 3,000 miles. And the abuse you're going to do on the track. So I assume you can't put the race car settings and expect that tire to last.
Yeah, there was an Ultimate GTR on the car. Sorry, Chrissy. There's an Ultimate GTR on the race, and he didn't make it to the second race without wearing out his front tires. So that was a shame. Sorry, Chrissy.
Oh, really? My answer was not a dumb comment. You failed to mention the Sumitomo's. For which we bought one on our way home.
We did. We were sitting waiting, and we needed a new one for the Citroen as a spare. So we're like, well, we're standing here at Tire Rack. I might as well just go buy one.
And he gave us.
I said, oh, is this for my race car? And I order a 205 65 15 all-season Sumitomo.
We just carry our Sumitomo out.
Yeah, and you put it on my shoulder and walked out and
We
put
carried
it in the truck of the Mercedes.
All right, so I'm sorry.
It's for my French race car. Duh.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. It was.
Yeah, that's a stupid.
No lies. All true.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
What do you need to bring?
So, what do you need to bring? What do you need to prep? What do you need to bring? All right. So let's talk about obviously clothes. If you're driving a 914 without heat, you want winter clothes because it's going to get cold somewhere along the way. But if you're driving a beautiful Mercedes with lovely seats, you can sort of reduce some of your stuff. But you're going to be out in the rain. You're going to be cold.
Yeah. Clothing depends entirely on your car and your setup. Like we were good with a couple pairs of shorts and pants and t-shirts and race gear because you're either racing, sitting around at the track, or driving,
or walking the track. So
that's true.
So I wore out we wore sneakers because either you were using a really scary scooter, which is what we did, which we probably shouldn't even admit that we did, but we did. But you walk the track. Good. So that's the only time every morning you're up. We were barely eating breakfast, have a cup of coffee on the go, get to the track, walk it once. If you can possibly get around it fast enough, get around it twice. So absolutely sneakers are a must.
Yeah, you're right. So your clothing just needs to fit those 5 things. And if it doesn't fit those 5 things, especially if it's not dual use, don't bring it. Because the more stuff you bring, that it causes problems, especially if you don't have a really big car. So you need to be judicious about your packing. You're going to smell bad at the end of the week. Okay, get over it.
Just like the Babe Rally, you know what I mean? You had to. You might be wearing the same pair of pants all weekend, all week.
Yeah, we'll say this: it's a little like lemons in that you are going for the long haul. It's a little different in that most of your hauling is actually on the road. So you're not going to be wearing out the brake pads in the same manner or the tires in the same manner, but your alignment matters, right? It is a definite aspect. And so pull and bring the known consumables. If your car eats alternators or something like that, I don't even know what you're going to do, but that kind of thing, bring an extra one of those. But in general, you're not going to be pushing on the car too hard unless you're driving between Summit Point and NCM. And you are
and driving with crazy people and you want to keep
at 150 miles an hour. If anybody may have done that on the public roads, not that I know anybody who did that.
Right. No clue.
Nope.
Can a 914.6 do 150?
No. Oh, no, we didn't. But we
saw them. That's why we saw them.
I was like,
we saw them later.
150 and a 914 is a drastically different experience.
It wasn't 100. It wasn't 150.
S63.
CLS 630s will definitely do 140 on that stretch of road.
Yeah.
But
without breathing heavy.
HHR SSs will do 150 and go by you.
Yeah. The monkey garage, his turbo supercharged Ford Mustang. He said he hit 160. He said, so God bless you.
So in the original event, basically your time on the track was timed so that you basically had to do these full out blitzes between tracks. What is the pressure between tracks to make that trip?
It's all about personal. Yeah.
You're talking about execution versus preparation.
Well, I know that, but you need to prep for that. I mean, are you going are you staying at hotels every night? Are you getting time
I
to
think
sleep?
that some of this is background knowledge. Let's back up real quick to talk about the days. Can we do that? Just like how the days go.
Helpful.
Right. So
Go ahead.
Okay,
Chrissy.
why can't I
No,
tell you? Because I
sorry.
was there. All right, cool.
Then
Thanks.
Just go. Don't
Okay,
argue. Go
I
ahead.
am. Okay, so your day
Children,
starts out,
speak.
you go to a track. Let's just start the normal week. So normally like there's, the startup day, you have a little, opening and skip pad, get on the road. First day, you get to your first track, whatever that may be. You stay in hotels every night. You get to your hotel, you sleep, you get up very early. There is a time when when the track opens is available it's supposed to be for walking people only. So you are supposed to be, and we had a couple of days where this was questionable, but basically you have the opportunity to walk the track and get a feel. That's how you get a feel for it. You can't drive the track before you get there, get on your track time. You have to walk it. Then the first set of cars go, and that's each car will go, and you get one warm up laps and then a start and then 3 laps.
3 laps.
Accurate?
Session. Yes.
Yes.
And
3
that's
laps.
It's
flying.
continuous time. It's not per lap. It is what is the total laps time for the 3 laps that you compete.
So then
it's not a single lap time. I didn't know that.
No. So then you are parked. Then everybody goes, everybody has lunch, start over again.
They're done in groups of 5. 5 cars will go out. The very first day, they try to group you by how fast they think you are going to be based on your car number. And after that, they kind of expect you to figure out where you're going to fit in the group.
That's good.
So that you don't end up running into the back of
right.
people.
They obviously, and they don't really want
caught.
passing. I mean, you can pass, but the idea is that I forgot about that aspect, that you're all on track. You're just trying not to catch up to each other. All right. So, and that's where this is exactly where we have coined, or they coined the phrase, all remaining cars. So if you are the slowest, you are not the best. If you're not caring to win so much, you become in all remaining cars. So yes, so you hang out in the back with your friends that are also all in all remaining cars. So anyway, do that first session, lunch, second session, do that all again. So typically you could do it in 2 ways. You could have one driver racing all that day at that track. So they would take both sessions. Eric and Tom did that a couple times. And then Chris and I both did both day. We each started and each drove every track.
We split the sessions.
And then every once in a while they had the morning would be the north track, the afternoon would be the south track. So occasionally there were tracks that we both didn't drive, but we both were driving each day. Miss anything?
Yes. Some people do like transit driver hot shoe, right?
Oh, yes. There's plenty of people that do that. Yes. All right. So then depending on when your last lap is, you basically have the person. Also, we didn't say that you have to take everything out of your car. Everything, right? Everything. You don't want any rattles. You don't want anything. You can't have anything in your car. So that means everything has to be movable. And actually, this kind of goes back into, this is my section that I was going to talk about, what you need to bring. So you have to take everything out of your car. So when the second driver is pulling in, they're poised to pull in exactly the way that you'd be able to load up as quickly as possible. So you have an organization of exactly what goes in, exactly what place. We practiced before we even went on one lap, making sure that every single thing, we knew where it fit, we knew where it went. And then you pack up and you start driving. So then if this is when you said that, so typically this is probably in the afternoon sometime, 2-3 o'clock, I want to say.
Depends on how fast you are. If you're in the fast group, they're gone.
Oh yeah.
At 1:15, you see McLaren tail lights. But if you're in all remaining cars, you might be there until 3.
Yeah, depend, especially if somebody crashes, if they have to clean up oil, something like that. So you're ready to leave at 2 or 3 o'clock, and you have to get over 3 or 4 states. Now you're pulling in at 10, 11, 12, 1. If your car breaks down,
3,
it's 2, 3, 4. And then you have to get up and do this the next day and be at the next track at 6 a.m.
Well, do you have to be there at the track at 6 a.m.?
No, you don't have to be there at 6, but
you have to if you want to walk the track and all those other things. Yeah.
Which means that if you're in a slower group, you start missing out on that because you try to preserve your life for the week and actually sleep a little.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like,
Yeah, well, and it depends on how fast you're going in the transits.
Mhm.
Is really
Yes.
that is buying your sleep, and the transits are. And really, this is part of the top tips. This is really for later, but how to maximize it. It's like endurance racing. Never stop moving. If you
Mhm.
stop moving, do everything you need to do as quickly as possible and get moving again, because you just need to keep your average speed up. That's it.
Mhm.
But
I
you're
like
absolutely
that.
right. That this all goes into how you bring what you bring. So
Yes.
we already
Okay.
talked about clothes.
Yes. Can I do mine?
Please.
Yep.
Okay, so as I said, you have to have movable packages. So you need to figure out what containers you can use, what bags you can use, even anything that you want in your cockpit. You want, car chargers, you want chapstick, you want snacks. Everything should be in a bag. You know that these 4 bags go in the back seat, or these 4 bags go in the passenger footwell. And this is exactly how each of our tools go. So we had a nice tote because we could, in the back of the back of the CLS, figure out what kind of space you have, figure out how to Tetris it all in, and that's really, really important, because you say, do I really need this? Yes, I do. Okay, how am I going to pack it?
Yep.
If you're not eating, sleeping, or driving, you are wasting time, and packing counts among that. You're wasting time. So be ready. The moment the car comes in, the driver 2 in the afternoon session parks it, like Chrissy said, and the first driver is loading while driver 2 goes and gets out of their race suit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we neglected to say that this is your full race suit as well. We did not say that, but that's extra thing to pack. That's the problem, is that you have clothes and that's cool, but then you still need race suit, and then you're getting out of your race suit. Yeah.
And
so
if both of you are competitively driving, you need 2 helmets and 2 race suits and
correct.
all those other
Correct.
things. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So
How do you do all this in a 914?
So that's great. Actually, I was going to
No
go down to the
underwear,
top.
right? 1 pair of underwear. That's it. All week.
We shared it between the 2 of us. Yeah.
Oh.
Snacks,
It's
none.
Wednesday. It's your day.
No. It's Wednesday. It's change underwear day.
So,
Well, and I would
Passenger
also-
trade with driver, driver
Okay.
trade with passenger.
Everything you would pack in a 914 has to have multiple uses. Some days it's a shoe, some days it's a container for Bailey's.
so to Chrissy's point, and I think this is a good one. We used a soft-sided carrier system that we put on the back trunk and strapped it down. That meant 2 things. One, we could pick up most of the things we had in the car easily and place it on the ground, allowing for a simple unloading and reloading type of thing. Others did that with a rooftop carrier where they unlatched it and put it on the ground type of thing. This was important for us, especially because where you parked, you weren't always sure. And we literally carried that thing into the hotel room every night, having most of our expensive stuff in it. So it made it a little bit easier for everything involved. So
And
that
it
would be
didn't hurt your arrow one bit when you're transit zoning.
Sure it did, but it's
to
Less
bring
for a 914 than most car, because it's on that deck lid behind the vertical rear window, so
Yeah.
it's not as bad.
not so bad.
I
Not so
feel like
bad.
I recall at least 1 or 2 times where you kind of struggling to get stuff stuffed in and strapped.
Because
Yes.
the rear trunk
Quickly.
and the front were also full of stuff.
Yes. Well, the frunk also has a large oil cooler in it, so it's not the normal big old 914 frunk, but it definitely, we had things everywhere. And that's a pretty spacious car. I mean, 914 is actually surprisingly spacious when it comes to trunk space, but we filled everything. And we did bring one extra tire, just in case of something, and we didn't need to use it.
So did we.
I
Except
see, I
we
was
put
gonna
it
say
in our-
we-
we put it in our spare tire well, which
Yeah.
makes
And then you
perfect
didn't
sense.
didn't have to move it. Well, you probably moved it anyway. But
Every time we were on
Yeah.
track, it was out, but that was the first thing in, and the last thing out was the
So-
spare wheel.
So I have 2 things that I think were helpful that you might consider bringing or not. The tent. So we had a pop-up tent that fit exactly. Was one of the smaller 8x8. I want to
It's
say
an 8x8, yeah.
8x8. It was great, especially since the first day we arrived and it was raining. And this is when you're still just trying to figure out what you're doing with all your stuff. How do I work? And I want to say it was pretty windy too. It was kind of like a miserable day.
Mhm.
And so it was great because you're in tire rack parking lot. That's it. That's all you got. So put all your stuff, put the tent on top of your stuff to make it so that everything doesn't get soaked automatically. So right there, it was automatically a great thing, but it was kind of nice to have. And I'm sure we used it other times because we had some kind of varying temperatures and what do you call it? Weather. So it was great to have. So get a tent if you can afford it, and or afford the space rather, not afford the
At a
thing.
minimum, a tarp is absolutely necessary.
Oh,
You
can I make a
you can
suggestion?
taco wrap stuff in the tarp. Sure, Jeff.
So I'm going to share a screen here. Investigate the world of stuffable beach tents for your one lap, because things like this that I'm showing on the screen right now, this a Shimby Shade Mini, literally fits in a bag much smaller than an 8x8.
As long as you don't have to actually shove it into the ground to hold it in place.
No, most of these
then
you
you're okay.
don't. Because, well, I mean, they have poles, but you can, we know how to make poles on tarmac. You just weight them. So this isn't the exact one that we have for the beach, but we have one that's like a parachute with a single pole in the middle, and it's fantastic. No poles.
Something like
I don't
that would
think
work great.
they didn't have them in
was-
2016.
No.
It's not as easy as the easy up, which is name implies.
Easy
It works
But
really
you're not
nicely.
fitting an easy up in a 914
You're not fitting an easy up in a CLS.
or a mini.
We did.
Oh, they
we
did?
Put
did.
the easy up in the CLS.
We brought
The
the
8x8
CLS.
All right, sorry. Yeah.
That's
The
what I was
8x8
telling you.
fits exactly in the trunk. You know that one side has a little cutout with the net. If you put the feet into that side and then put it down, it fit exactly across the back of the trunk. I
Yeah.
actually measured it ahead of time as I was buying it to see if it was going to fit, and it did, and it was perfect.
The other one is tiny chairs. So while Chris said always be moving, there is some time that by the time we are done walking the track in the morning, and if you're in all remaining cars, you do have time in there. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes you need to be running around doing other things, but there are times we sat. So if you can find tiny chairs, especially now, I would suggest the foldable ones that go in a little bag kind of thing. I think they're worth it.
Yep. I got some other things. For car supplies, you're going to need the basics of things you might run into, especially things you will not be able to find. If you have definitely some oil and brake fluid, you're going to need that. A spare set of brake pads is nice, just in case, and they don't take up much room. One spare wheel and tire, nice to have because you're driving a lot.
Yeah,
in
I
the middle
mean,
of nowhere.
A cut tire will destroy your ability to continue the race.
Yep.
I mean,
Absolutely. But aside from that, we're going to talk about car prep a little bit. If your car is prepped properly, you will not need many spares, realistically.
I agree.
So-
And if it's no different than a lot of stuff you guys talk about pre-lemons prep, it's all the same. It's all about making sure your car is reliable for the long haul. And that haul is mostly street, but still, it's all the same in this case.
Yep. Other things that are necessary to pack. We talked about tents, chairs. You need some transportation around your track walk. That might be sneakers. If you have room, some people bring bicycles. Some people have little trailers with bicycles or bicycle racks that go under trailer hitches. Great. You can get around the track a lot faster on a bicycle. Chrissy and I had little kids Razor death scooters.
kick scooters, right?
Yeah. Which are notably faster than walking, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But going down the toilet bowl at NCM on one of those,
Death trap.
I almost died. I did. I had death wobble and I almost bailed, and I didn't, but
There comes a speed when you're just committed because you're not getting off.
on
those little guys, and death wobble or nothing. You're just eat. I'm going to make it or I'm not.
Yeah. So, but it was worth it.
Mhm. It
Yeah.
was way better than walking the whole thing. It was notably faster, but maybe you buy a little slightly better one than the $30 kids ones that we bought because we said, we're never going to use these again. Let's try it.
Something with a wheel larger than 1.5 inches.
That's what I was going to say. Get the one with the 4-inch wheels, not with the 1.5-inch wheels.
But that's all space that you don't have. So
Well, they're not that much different.
I know.
Be
And
amazed.
the one idea you might have is maybe I'll just run it. Well, you have to get in the car later and you get your shower and then you get on track and you do all this. So, and especially if it's hot, I don't know that you want to sit
And
around
you might be exhausted. You might have had a 800-mile transit the day before.
Oh,
Realistically, sometimes they do that.
Jesus.
The longest one we had the year we did it was a shorter loop. The year we did it, we went one night from NCM in southern Kentucky to Road America in Wisconsin. And
Oregon.
that's a haul. And if you get in really late, you're tired, you're done. You
Yeah.
don't wanna
So
get up
so
and
don't
run.
automatic, even
miles,
if you're
6
so that
miles.
I feel like that's what mental's like. I'm a runner. I could do it. Well, I don't know if you're a runner right now, but used to be. Anyway, that's the kind of thing that I feel like mental might say, oh, well, I'll just run it in the morning because we've done that. But on this kind of thing, it is probably not sustainable to do
Well,
it every day.
And I'll give you that perspective in case someone's out there thinking that, because even when I was a runner, running was a means of fitness, but I would not do that if I was expected to do something the rest of the day.
Sure. Right.
I'm not going for a 3-mile run and then race and then get into a car and drive all night and then
Yeah.
go for another 3-mile run the next day. No,
Correct.
you're I imagine, just like you're trying to conserve space and you're trying to conserve effort and bank
Energy.
time.
Yeah, energy.
You're trying to
Energy,
conserve
yeah.
energy.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You might not
yeah.
be sleeping a full 8 hours. Jesus.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're happy with
not
4
to
hours.
mention, not to mention, you're already smelly. Let's
Well, no, but you're staying
Let's
in
not add
hotels,
to
so you
that.
can you can shower every day. So you shower at night, you shower in the morning.
You can choose which. Do I have enough time today, and do I smell bad enough that I'm going to take that time to shower or sleep?
Yeah.
You get that choice.
Yep.
Well,
The
and
last couple things
but
I'll
you're
say
also
are-
you're in a car with someone. They also get an input. Hey, I was thinking I was going to sleep. No, you're going to shower.
Last couple of things I can think of here are car related. If you have a Valentine one, you bring it. Something to play Waze on, something to hold your phone, chargers for everything, snacks and drinks for the road. Chrissy was snack master.
So good at
right?
snack master.
And
I found
Did
every
she
little.
feed you?
Occasionally, and something to listen to. Audiobooks are great. You're spending a lot of time on the road. Just get an Audible subscription for the week. Get something that's going to help you pass.
Game
that
of Ice
time.
and Fire. Great. That'll eat a lot of road.
Okay.
I
You're not gonna do War and Peace here, but you need something that's gonna be
Engaging.
You need something that's gonna be engaging. That's gonna keep your
engaging
interest.
for you and your co-driver
Oh,
too.
there is
So
nothing in the world that my wife and I could listen to.
that's probably
and
not
both
true.
Like.
That's probably not true, but
Well,
it's
your
definitely.
wife, Jen also would not go on this with you.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yes.
But we're calling. We had an X mount. We bought our X mount for this because we could use it not only to hold the phone for Waze and all that kind of stuff. You could use it for we used it for Harry's lap timer. So you could put it in the front, we put it in the back, we had it around so we could take video and that kind of stuff. So that was a good buy.
Yeah, if you have what do they call them? Trying to think the little blinky thing that we have up right now. The Apex Pro would be great on this.
Yep.
Sure.
You
Or
know,
a GoPro, and we just use the phone as put the phone in and it'll do everything, which was nice. And it gave us our video afterwards and telemetry and put it all together. It was nice.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah, that's where we have a screenshot of 142 on Road America.
Yep.
Yep.
And there's no this is all for people who are not in it for the A class, which is the
So much.
I'm going to win this, right? We're talking
This
about
is survival.
If you're going to win this thing, then you have to choose the best possible car, the real heli, 670 McLaren or something like that. And you need to drive that car, get it transported to every one of the tracks and have at least a track day at every one of the things with a professional coach to get you set up to know what the track is. And, your Harry's lap timer doesn't matter anymore. You're already on it.
Yeah.
Right? If that's what you wanted, if you want to win it, you got to plan months in advance for that. And then, of course, if you
you're going up against people, I mean, the majority of these tracks, how many times has Tom O'Gorman won in a race car at these tracks?
Yeah. Okay, we can skip to the driver prep session right now before we get to car prep.
Go for it.
That's exactly the right thing. Is if you're going to win, you have to drive them all. If you're not, maybe you can drive some. Like I did a track day in the Mercedes at Summit Point before we did there. That really helped out. I actually was in solidly like above mid pack on that track in that car, which was really nice.
But that was the only one.
Yeah.
Oh, at Pitt. We'd raced Pitt before, so that helped too.
No, we hadn't. That was our first time on Pitt.
Was it?
Yeah, that's how we knew we wanted to go back. because for NASA because we had so much fun there.
Never mind. I feel like we've been going there forever, so I didn't realize. Never mind.
Well, your first time coming to turn 1 on that car down the straight.
Oh,
we
yeah,
heard the
you guys
ABS
were
come on.
impressed.
We're like, oh,
Yeah.
Chrissy brakes really late.
I was like, oh, I didn't realize that's where.
where.
I was like, I didn't realize the track ended there. Cool.
Turn one'll get you.
Yeah. Well, when you've only walked it, you're absolutely right. I was thinking we'd been there before.
Yep. Otherwise, iRacing is great for this.
Yeah.
Really. That is the actually, I think the best thing for iRacing or whatever simulator you wanted is learning tracks you have not been to. I've done it that way, and it's brilliant.
The problem is that some of the tracks aren't on iRacing.
No.
It makes me think of the day before we went to NCM. We were watching video, and you went through the first 4 corners. Has everybody driven NCM?
No,
Mental has.
I haven't. I'm the only one that hasn't.
So it's what Chris says. It's like organized spaghetti. It's like we were watching it when you're watching it on video and you've never actually driven it before. There's the first 4 turns, and we were like, I have no idea where I am. No idea.
He gets that little section in the middle where it's just kind of the switchbacks and stuff. And
we're like, nope, I got nothing.
But that's all we had. We didn't have iRacing then. We hadn't driven it. So we're watching YouTube videos.
I think we even had a track map, but just a paper one. But we're still, I was like, are we here? Now we're all the way over here. Okay. No, just what? Yeah, I know.
NCM's kind of bad about that to begin with. If you're not dialed into that track, it's distinctive, but a lot of it looks like the rest of it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Does it look the same? Because that's
it does.
Yeah,
because
that's
it's all
the
shoved
problem.
into this small area and next to the highway.
It's fairly flat.
No visual
So
markers to know
it's
the
not like it's
Besides
a big
this-
flowing course like
Nope.
VIR where there's there's the barn, there's the other barn, there's
right.
the,
There's a tree. I'm going uphill now. Everything's pretty flat.
There's the same tree. Just the other side of the same tree.
Yeah. And as you look at it, if you're looking way ahead, you may actually be looking at a different section of the track ahead.
Completely.
And you're like, and then there's this cut through that you can't go by, and you see the cones, you're like, shit, and you slam on the brakes to turn because you forget where you're at.
Completely.
That is how it was for me, with the rain, of course, coming down happily. God bless him.
Right.
Yep.
The second before we went out. God damn.
All remaining cars. Here comes the rain.
Basically,
so
that's
true.
exactly what happened. Yes.
All the fast cars got to do it in dry, and then we got there and it was raining. I'm like,
pretty much.
All right.
But yes.
And I'm sorry. We make fun of you, but we love this about you, Chris. So you sat down and decided, we're going to do this. I'm going to look at all the classes, find out where we would be the most competitive, the least miserable, and then you research the cars, which is how I ended up with the Mercedes. But Eric, how did you choose what?
So that's not it at all. Just saying, like, if you want to talk about how we got there,
it's mental math. It's approximately
fine. If he wants to make up a story, it's fine.
No. All right, Chris, tell me the story then.
It's real close. I wanted a big, fast old man car to drive around. It wasn't, I had my Z4 and I had the NSX at that point and the Suburban. I was like, I want something different. So I was looking at Jag XJRs.
We didn't have the NSX. We had the Z4.
We had the Z4 still?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, 2016. It was close. Anyway, right around that time. So looking at XJRs and big Mercs and things like that. And eventually I found that great deal on that CLS 63 and on a perfect car and just went for it. But I was also looking at M5s. I almost bought an M5, which,
best move you ever made. AMG over M5.
They're all great cars. But anyway, ended up with that one because I wanted a big, nice, comfy old man car to drive around and take on long trips and said, we could also do 1 lap in this. We should do that. Anyway.
I'm pretty sure you just sell me on this.
I totally did.
Oh, yeah.
But then you were on board.
Sure.
Yeah. So for us, the choice was easy. During some of my dominatrix sessions, I went and they determined the method that would give me the most pain should be something like that. No, seriously, Tom and I have been talking about doing 1 lap since the mid 2000s, early 2000s, when like Tom DeVia kept winning it in the 996 turbo and all that good time frames. And I had found that car. He started building it and we just said, let's do 1 lap in it. And it wasn't thought out. It wasn't let's do vintage foreign. It wasn't any of that. It was literally, we have a car, we're going to do it. So Jeff, you're
Yeah, what are you doing? Just
tearing open some
opening
chips, eating
packages?
He's like, oh, this came in the mail today.
I literally said, "What the hell is this on my desk?"
Well, then
Yeah,
turn your
but
mic off.
I love
my mic was off. Go
that
ahead.
you looked at your desk and found something
Oh.
that went, what the hell is this? Because every time we all see your desk, we all go, what the hell is all of
What the
that?
hell is all of that? It's just I have no idea what all of this is.
That's funny. Anyway, so mental, we didn't pick it, and in the end, it was good because there was only 3 cars in vintage foreign, and we were able to get a second place. So that was happy for us.
Yeah, so screw that loser. He lost. All right.
He probably broke.
It
Yeah,
happens.
yeah. But the
We're
other 2
saying
cars
the
were.
same
Hold on,
thing.
let's just be clear. The other 2 cars were so far from what I would consider similarly competitive. The one was a 944 with an LS in it, and the other one was a 280Z with some monster big block in it that was just that thing could just fly. I don't know. I mean, yes, incredibly driven, but the power was insane.
Yeah, vintage
So-
is pre-91, so it's not exactly old cars. Like
So
there's
the
old cars
rule-
and then old cars.
So the rule for dominating is kind of like lemons. Just LS swap it. Just stop. Just LS swap it. It's just easier.
The LS didn't win, so
Yep.
Nice.
That wasn't the car's fault either. I think,
No.
on that one. No.
well,
not at all.
you know,
Yeah. Anyway. All right,
Did they
Chrissy, you
drive
have-
it into a guardrail? Is that what
No.
happened?
No, they just weren't very fast. Chrissy, you've got one last tip here on driver prep. I think that is very important. Is the driver health is important in prep.
Yes. Sleep a lot before you go, and then be prepared to take at least another day off to catch up, because you're probably going to. So depending on where you, it always ends at Tire Rack in South Bend, Indiana. So wherever you live from there, you still have to drive home. So that's part of a problem. So we still had to go from, still go all the way across Ohio and Pennsylvania. Quite a trek. Also, our car started to stumble at 101 miles away from home. So we had that to
I
add
thought
to
you
the
were
whole
going to say
thing.
at 101 miles per hour.
No. We
That
might
weren't
car
have
that
has
been.
fast.
never.
Might have been.
That car has never stumbled at 101 miles an hour.
No,
That
but
was-
the
An ignition coil pack went bad. We're like,
but we were trying to limp it home, and then we did just. And I remember we were close to the get AAA too. Hello, get AAA.
the best
That's
AAA they have.
yes,
Yeah.
because we.
A week ahead of time, because
Yep.
you can't do it that week.
Oh yeah, plenty of time. Or get it
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
gonna go, get it then. But that's what you figure out where the 101 miles or 100. It's 100 miles for the better of the AAAs. Anyway, so
Yeah, do you want the gold or the platinum package?
Whatever.
Do you have
yes.
uranium package? Because I need a fuck ton of towing.
right. I
Yeah.
might anyway. But really, by the time you get home, you don't want to go to work the next day. So I actually think it ends on a Saturday. I want to say so. But either way, you need time.
Last
Yeah.
thing here is stay hydrated, stay fed enough. You've got to keep your head about you.
Yeah, I mean, you
good call.
barely have time to stop to eat, right? I mean,
Yep.
It's time
Yeah,
off
no,
the
you-
road.
You
You're
have
not
to do
sitting
it.
down to dinner at
Yeah.
Cracker Barrel here. So
No.
you're shoving shit down your face and going.
Although I will say, just choosing to do that at one time along the way is mentally good for you.
Yeah.
Instead
Oh,
of-
we
instead
felt
of
so
just
much, but the
endless
last day.
RVs.
Yeah.
or the Brat stop. That was a great,
Yep.
actually a great
Yep.
stop. That was
God
great.
bless Toyota.
And
their money.
and some of we ate at the track every day because you couldn't really bring. Did we bring a cooler?
We brought a cooler, but it wasn't. We
It
didn't
was
have.
just sodas.
Once you
and
fill
like
it
water.
with drinks just
Yeah.
to stay
Yeah.
hydrated, you probably don't have room for food.
So we ate at every track, and some of them were better than others. Some of them had what do you call it? Food trucks and stuff. So
we've all had track food, so
yes,
I will add one more thing about the car and planning and what your thoughts are. They call us the first people to do the time you do it the first time you're a lap puppy. And the truth of the matter is, don't expect to win as a lap puppy. Don't even try to win as a lap puppy. There is so much to learn. And you'll learn things about your car you never knew, even if it's something you've been driving for 100,000 miles. You'll learn because it's different, because something's changed. And just soak it all in. And then if you really want to live and you want to learn and win next year, then come back the next year, because that's going to be different. So
with $100,000 more in car, and
That's
yeah,
a
maybe.
Top tip from Eric right there.
Yeah, don't plan to win first time.
All right. I'm going to go with car prep real quick. Everything. Your car needs to be in perfect,
Perfect.
right, mechanical condition, and you need to have shaken it down. Not I drove it around in the street to work a few times. No, you need track time. You have to go shake it down, make sure it's working, find the weak spots, fix those weak spots, and that is what is necessary. You have no time for breakdowns. You're on the side of the road. You have no tools or limited tools, limited parts. You cannot have it. So your prep is everything.
Very good. Absolutely. Go through everything. It's similar to lemons. Like I said, it's go through every wheel, every edge, every corner, right? Because you're going to.
And when in doubt, just replace it. Like there's no, well, I think that could go for a day. No, if it's not perfect, it's failed. And that's the last thing you want in a rainy, dark, like West Virginia night. So
and the only caveat I would say, Chris, to that is if you're that B class of what I've suggested, and you're just doing it to do the miles and to think about it, and you're not going to be pressing on your car a lot, it's not quite as important because you don't care if you miss the next race or all that stuff. There were a couple of cars which were, like that one guy with the Crown Vic, and then the Crown Vic trailer had the front and the rear stuck together. He had a couple problems, but he didn't care. He was like, I'm doing this for the fun of it. Right. That kind of thing.
I guess if you're really that
if you don't care about skipping an event, then sure.
Yeah, but if you're going to drive across country so that you get on that track that you probably have never been on, you don't want to miss that track.
Well, you also don't pick a Crown Vic.
Yeah, but there was a guy on a 918 who was kind of doing the same thing. They weren't in it to win it. The only time they ever really gave it a lot was at the drag strip, and they were just playing around at the tracks each time. And of course, it didn't break down at all, and everything was perfect. But it was just that kind of thing. It's like some people have a different mindset as to what they want getting out of it, and it does impact how you prep.
Oh, but it sounds like it impacts how you run the event, because you could stop at that restaurant if you're okay not sleeping. You could, share driving so that everybody gets to, both people get to try every track if you're okay not being competitive. Because obviously, if you take one shot at it to learn it, you can take one shot at it to be better at it. But training, obviously,
All right, we got two more things. We got other planning and logistics, and then top tips to wrap it up. So other planning, what do you think, guys?
Did Eric write that?
Well, I wrote there were two. They give you the path. They give you a more scenic route to go between the stops, right? They hand you a book that actually gives you a circuitous path to allow to see scenery and stuff. If you have that time, if you really are that B area, you take that and plan it, and otherwise, and take that path to right. If not, get there as fast as possible, get to sleep.
Someone should be on an iPad in between sessions, looking at routes, figuring out exactly which way you're going to go, including zooming in on traffic and construction and things like that. What is going to be your best way? Absolutely.
And I think traveling with friends and or people, if possible, I think that it made it better. And it was, even if you can't really talk to each other, or you are texting back and forth or whatever, or just driving with each other, it's just nice to have somebody else, and especially have somebody else if they're that kind and you've become that friendly with them. If you are broken down in West Virginia at midnight, maybe somebody will come rescue you in the morning.
I think any one lapper would stop for any other one lapper who was on the side of the road, without a doubt. But it is nice running in a group. There's a bit of a safety in numbers kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And you just kind of end up in a group, like someone will kind of come along and join your pack, or you'll
it helps when you have
when you just step on the gas a little bit and get
25 stickers on the side of your car. So it's pretty much it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy when you see all of these cars coming together, then you are able to see each other.
Or find a random fast local who's going 110 in his F-150.
Apparently that's a thing.
And just drive with him for a while, because
no problem. I know. I wonder if he's noticed that he's racing with a whole bunch of at least cars with a lot of stickers on it.
They don't even realize.
That might have happened.
I've lost our numbers, by the way.
Not like
not at all
like this.
But go ahead, Eric. The gumball in which the police are literally looking for these crazy people who are doing burnouts for a return. The police are actually pretty. I mean, we didn't see really any issues with police or otherwise, because that's not the intent of this event.
No, yeah, the gumball is a bunch of rich people with conspicuous consumption, and there was something on one of the local Vegas pages is, why do you guys hate these people? Wait till they come through, then you'll get it.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
we were all fairly polite. We were
yeah.
we might have broken a law or two, but I mean,
We
Well,
just want to be
you're-
gone. That's it.
Yeah,
And
I was gonna say you're going somewhere with a purpose. You're just not trying to
sure.
show off. Like you're like,
Sure.
okay, I'm just trying to get through your town because
Mhm.
it's in the way of me getting to the next racetrack.
Basically.
Yep, good.
Yeah.
And I think your tip about going with the right people matters, right? If you know somebody who is particularly difficult or something, it may not be the person to really spend 7 days of this difficult event with. I'm just saying, because and we all know people, we love people who are that way, and it's not that we don't love them any less. It's just that's not the thing to do with them.
yeah, pick your co-driver wisely.
Yeah.
Oh, and so I wasn't even thinking when I was saying travel with friends, I was thinking with other people in other
Oh.
cars, like hang out with you guys because I remember we were razzing each other back and forth because we could talk to each other. But also, yes, very valuable. Pick the person you're going to drive with. And going back to a lot of our top tips is that your teammate has to have the same expectations and like goals as you do. So if you want to win, you better find somebody who's happy about just driving transits. And that works for a lot of people. And if I'm going to generalize, many of the other women that were on the trip were the co-drivers. And so it was the male who was
So
great.
transit drivers.
Yeah, basically. Yes. Because there was one guy who's great at driving and wants to win, and his wife or whoever drove the car the other times. So it depends on who wants to do what.
Let's
If
not
you're-
pretend that transit driver is a no skill job though,
Oh,
right?
it's very important.
It's
Critical.
a grueling slog across the country at a high rate of speed.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, and if you're driving a 914.6 without a heat
What idiots would do
or-
that?
or an aerial atom, befriend
Yeah.
people
Oh yeah.
People did an aerial
In
Adam.
the
Yes.
rain.
multiple
Yeah.
years. Befriend
Yeah.
people with warm cars because it's so nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I know the guys in
Wow.
the Adam would go into and find the dryer in every hotel and put their stuff in the dryer because we had a lot of rain on the year that we went. So
They had like motorcycle gear. They had Harley Davidson gear, wet gear, and they
Well,
would go in
it's-
and try to get a drive.
Basically a motorcycle. I mean,
Yep.
I mean,
Woo. That
Yeet.
was an adventure for them. So, okay. So I have a random question as we're wrapped up, I think, with the prep. Hopefully, Bill, hopefully this is helpful to you. But I think the question, well, maybe people even know what our answer is. Would we do it again?
Around the horn, I'm going to start.
Go.
Yes, and we will do it again. Tom and I will do it again.
in a 914 or something different.
No, never a 914.
No. No.
No,
No.
maybe I have done crazier things and then do crazier things again, so which is the some sort of insanity. But yes, I think it'll be
upgrade.
a Cayman. I think it'll be a Cayman.
I was
next
going to say upgrade. Go ahead with a 924.
time. No, that is not an upgrade.
That's
That is
the worst.
not
All
an
right, a
idea.
944S. Okay, there you go.
Oh my
It's debatable.
Goodness.
Power
Has
gracious.
a
to weight.
hatch. Yeah, has a hatch. That's
All right.
the best part.
Chef and Mental, that you haven't done it before. Would you want to?
Oh, without a doubt.
My name is Mental. I mean, seriously.
I'm
It's
very
just
glad
it's circumstances that I haven't had the opportunity.
Yeah.
I've actually tried a couple of times, and either I didn't have the car or I didn't have somebody crazy enough.
Yeah, I burned too much vacation already doing things like Boy Scout camp and lemons racing that it would be very difficult for me to depart another week with, as my wife calls them, your idiot friends.
Yeah. It's not cheap, but the entry fee is steep. You're burning a lot of fuel. You're going through at least one, if not two sets of tires. You've got your prep work, you got your car prep, you got your track prep. You've got all the hotels every night. You're eating nothing
Any
but
food,
out the whole
anything,
time.
any food. Yeah.
Right. And we drove 5,000 miles in a week. That's pretty good. And that car does not get good mileage on track. Let's say that. I'm very glad
Nor
I
does
did-
anything get good mileage at 107 miles an hour.
Well, a Honda Fit, but it barely doesn't get to 107.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I'm really glad I did it. It was a great experience. I'm very happy about it. I have no burning desire to do it again. If someone talked me into it, maybe, but I'm not planning my next time out. I've got other vacations I want to take, but I'm very happy I checked the box.
Literally my answer. Is exactly that. If everyone was saying, well, yeah, we're all going to go to this one and this year and we're going to do it. And I'm like, I probably should go. That's probably that's how I feel.
This sounds like exactly the way y'all describe a true 24. Like, I'm glad I did it, but it was kind of painful. And I'm not super interested in doing it again, but yeah, I might be talked into it eventually.
Yeah.
And with one lap, the route is going to matter too. Like I wouldn't pick the route some years. Like some years they will go out, they'll get as far west as Colorado and New Mexico, Texas and Georgia, and then back to Indiana. It's like, oh, that's awful. Where the year we went, really, like we said, the longest transit was NCM to Kentucky.
Yeah, the longest transit was 800 miles.
You know, it was 700, but
so whatever.
That was the worst one, and okay, we did it, but because Chrissy and I are pretty good at the road trip thing, we actually got there as one of the first cars that got to Wisconsin.
Sometimes we did.
And that's my top tip is you must keep moving. You must keep moving. There is no time to dawdle. There is no time to do anything except moving. And even if you're not, you don't want to go really fast. Okay, good. Don't, but go, there's a difference at going 80 to 75 when you're doing it the whole week.
Mm-hmm.
Find your risk tolerance of what you're going to do.
Your passenger better be a good naviguesser.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Figure out easy on, easy off, gas here, bathroom, food, all in one stop. 7 minutes.
Yeah. You don't want to stop at like, oh, there's only one gas station. The super pump might be broken and the only food there might be Hardee's. And
I mean, if you can wait, right? If you can handle it. So, but yes, absolutely.
What's wrong with Hardee's? I'm joking.
But my answer is exactly that. If everybody was going, I might consider.
I will also say one last thing I forgot about is that unless you're under 12 years old, buy the seats that are somewhat reasonable for the slog, right? Or if you're running stock seats, which are great too. But the Kirkeys were difficult. They made it hard to sleep in the car while you're not driving, hard to survive your back, my back.
We don't put Kirkeys in our regular race car. Why would we put it in one that we're going to drive across the country?
I hear you, dude. I hear you.
Kirkeys are like radios or, cheap brake pads or cheap tires. You get them because they're easy, they're convenient, you're cheap, you use them, and you're like, never doing this again.
Yeah. And there's a certain point in your life you don't have as much money or whatever, and that's the way life goes, right?
Or you're trying to save that 5 pounds. That Kirkey's light.
No, it's all about money. But yeah.
Anyway, this has been great. Chrissy kind of already did around the horn. Should we do another one?
No, we should wrap this up because we're going long.
I'm totally fine with just wrapping it up.
Didn't mean to throw that one on there.
No. Yours was way better.
Yours was better. Mine was kind of crappy. Like, anyway, so let's wrap this up. Eric, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah,
this is third time you've been on the show.
I think so. Maybe third. Yeah, probably fourth.
Yeah, third
time. Yeah.
I can't remember. We if we had like a database where we saved all these things, we might know, but it's
always enjoyable. It's always enjoyable hanging out with you guys because you're awesome.
Well, it's good to see you on a non-race weekend, and we'll have to make sure to get you at another non-race weekend because
that would be lovely.
Yeah, or maybe at the Winter Lake Resort of sorry, Chrissy is making things. I don't know what you.
No, I got to do that. Thanks for bringing that up.
Winter Lake Resort of the Three Pedal Mafia fun weekend that my wife will also say, you're doing what with your idiot friends? But is there anything you want to push? How about the Cup of Meat website or anything like that?
Cup of Meat Productions on YouTube. We have our short films. Been doing that for 20 some years. That's a lot of fun. My band, Good for Sunday, always good. On Facebook, there's surprisingly One Lap in a 914. One Lap America in a 914 is one of our pages. I occasionally post crap on there and more interesting things. What the adventure of that 914 as it continues to slog through another 1,000,000 miles of Watkin Glen abuse. And we'll go from there.
Yeah. Awesome. Say hi to Tom because we miss him too. We haven't seen him in a little bit of a while.
I will do that. Tom just rebuilt a 914 engine for somebody that I will have to know to install it. So I'm looking forward to that in the middle of the frickin' winter.
Well, I totally know what that's about because I don't have a garage that I could put a car in. Anyone else? Do we know what we're doing next week?
Hold on to your giblets.
Oh,
we actually do. So another suggestion from a listener. Can you take this kind of crap can racing that we like to do to legit racing? The answer is yes. Yes, you can. And we are going to lay out several different ways to go club or even semi-professional racing. And if you're a listener, if you've already done this, you've moved on to, I don't know, let's say you're the stock Corvette champion for a track organization on the West Coast. Looking at you, Matt Faritas.
Yeah.
Send us your experience and the path you chose to get there. We've got a NASA instructor sitting on this screen, and we've got a NASA instructor who listens, and we've got folks that have run NASA competitions, SCCA, any of that kind of stuff. So if you've gone to what they would refer to as real racing, which real racing had to adapt because of the popularity of crap can racing, tell us what you did. Did you take the car? Did you get a new car? What skills transferred? What skills didn't? Let us know. Otherwise, tune in and we'll be telling you how we got from here to there, much like you did during the One Lap of America during the transit phases.
Awesome. I'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight, and thank you, listener, for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Go to iTunes, go to YouTube, wherever. Talk to us right down there in the doodly-doo, and we will respond, or maybe you'll talk about you in the next listener feedback. If you have any questions or show ideas, drop a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. You can still text MENTAL 484-243-0455. Find us on Instagram or Twitter at everyone.racers, YouTube or Facebook under Everyone Racers, Reddit /E1R. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the part that has the soft-sided luggage strapped to the trunk up.
And your fluid film side
down. Thank you, Mental. What a way to wrap up the show. See you all next week.